You know that really amazing feeling you get after you have the best haircut ever?
It's amazing, but what about when bad hair happens to good people?
It's tragic. Welcome to Domestic Partners, where we talk about food, drink, and all things domestic. I'm Gabi from whatsgabicooking.com.
I'm Aida from AidaMallenkamp.com, and here on Domestic Partners, we sweat the small stuff. And let's be honest, a bad hair day, it's not really small stuff. So this week is all devoted to how do you handle a bad hair day?
Okay, first off, if you are having a bad hair day, you need to contain that thing on your head. Slick it back, put it in a ponytail, put it in a sock bun, something to try and just get it under control.
And if that's not working, then you jazz it up and you put a big hairpiece on or a headband or a hat and just make it look like, you know, you did it on purpose.
If that fails, then just start drawing attention away from your hair. So put on a giant big pair of heels, wear a low-cut blouse, some short shorts, or wear a giant handbag so something takes away people's attention from what's going on top of your head.
And if all that fails, then what you do is this. You lock the door and you pull a Gabi Dalkin. You call in sick because of the bad hair day. Do what you gotta do.
True. It's okay. No one will ever know.
And if you do that, what you need to help you through, ham and egg breakfast pizza. It's got a little bit of asparagus, some prosciutto, Parmesan, Manchego cheese.
Oh my gosh, there's a fried egg on top, there is prosciutto. Did you say prosciutto? Double the prosciutto for bad hair days. It's the only way to live.
I mean, the reality is if your hair's looking bad, at least you should eat something good.
And here's this week's food for thought. You can't control everything.
Your hair was put on your head to remind you of that.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of Domestic Partners. Be sure to leave a comment below and subscribe.
And if you need to, sweat other small things in life, well then check out our other episodes, like who is your celebrity hall pass and how do you survive March Madness? These are the things that you might want to know.
See you next week.
I want to just talk about the connections to England for a moment, because 2004 was a big banner year. I mean, the rug company just, went to town on this carpet, and also there was the launch of Bloomingdale's. But the English appreciation for your work, do you think, it felt to me as though it was all about the garden and all about the appreciation for flowers, for a kind of pleasure factor in the color. The color was brilliant, but it was still, sophisticated and not unrestrained. Is it a Brit thing, the appreciation of the floral motif that's made you so popular in England?
I now think I understand what it is, but when it was happening, I really didn't. I was just swept up by, a lovely embrace from a country that seemed to appreciate everything that I put forth, where it's not exactly the same in this country. I think there's a lot more of a conventional and traditional mindset when it comes to textile design. I was coming out of left field. I didn't have an education in it. My thing is really, my work is very free and organic. It's not very schooled and academic by no means. And I think the British population I always noticed this when I was sitting in design studios in the industry in 9-to-5 jobs, that the British people in my studio were always the most clever, coming up with the most zany, outlandish, Vivienne Westwoody type, free-spirited.
Paul Smith.
Right.
People like that. Yeah.
Exactly. Like
his
really free.
Nuts.
Right. Like witty, tongue-in-cheek, and my stuff had that sort of naivete, I think, and also the freedom that
Do you think they were primed by the Bloomsbury artists like Vanessa Bell and Duncan Grant and people like that?
Yeah.
Because they were pretty freewheeling but their color doesn't approach yours in terms of brilliance and play, and it's a much more restrictive palette. I don't think it's just time that's done that. I think it's a Brit thing.
Some people say that my work is like modern arts and crafts. That's how they've termed it in several articles, you know. And I like that. I embrace that. I think it's interesting. I do like William Morris very much. I think, you know, obviously who wouldn't? But I'm more attracted to painters like Emile Nolde and Demuth and Matisse, of course. You know, you can't not say Matisse. And Bonnard, and people who love extraordinary color. I can't live without color. Color for me is a healing force in this planet. It's the only one I know that I can, you know, help spread healing with. And
we also mentioned German Expressionism when we talked prior to this, and that seems like an unlikely place from which to draw inspiration, except for the use of the color. They're fearless with color. Right. And that's something that I think you totally
It's my favorite
emulate.
period.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love all the German Expressionists, and I love Kandinsky. I love abstract expressionism. You know, I mean, I do a lot of work that's not on the screen, that's completely pure abstract. I call them color essays, and there are a couple of them in the book at the end. Which are sort of like color meditations. I like to get away from form sometimes because it gives me a break from, you know, creating gardens, and just to have a relationship with color on its own without any form around it. I think that's really refreshing and a challenge of a different kind.
Well, they're exceptionally beautiful abstractions. That's my opinion. They really are essays in color. And because of your musical background, I often get a sense of musicality in the design and in the art that I was kind of subconsciously aware of, and then the more I found out about you, it made sense.
Thank you.
And I think that goes all the way back to Oberlin and Tanglewood and your...
Well, my family are all professional classical musicians, and they're all painters and writers, but you know, so I grew up in this very cultured sort of environment, very inspired environment, and I'm sort of the black sheep because I kind of, after having pursued a promising career in music, which it really was up until 1990, you know, I couldn't deny or ignore what was happening. There was a big change going on inside me. I'd just come back from living in Europe, and I didn't feel like, you know, taking auditions with my flute around the country for an orchestral position in a symphony, which is what I was trained to do and prepared to do. Something really, you know, struck me. In fact, I wrote this in my book, but during the years in my 20s where before I entered into the fashion industry, I had a number of administrative jobs in New York, which I hated, and there was this Frank Stella sculpture that stood above the elevator in the lobby of this building that I was temping at, and I remember tears just coming down my eyes every time I walked through that door, because some part of me, the person who went home every night to paint at her kitchen table quietly and, you know, without any hope on the horizon, would look at that and say, you know, how the hell does somebody get that? You know, how does somebody, you know, become like that and, you know, have that presence in the art world and be able to contribute that? And so a few more years in the...
might ruin your day, so please feel free to go on your way. Turns out I got a bad health report, and I soon won't be playing any sports. That's okay, I don't willingly play sports anyway. But seriously, feel free to stop the song. But if you don't, it won't take too long to say I got boob cancer. Yes, I got boob cancer. But don't feel bad for me, 'cause I gotta get a lumpectomy. Yes, I rhyme me with me. I got boob cancer. Oh, I got boob cancer. But don't let it ruin your day, 'cause I just wouldn't want it that way. It sucks, what more could I say? I got boob cancer. At the age of 33, it's not what you'd expect. I admit it's make everyone a big fat nervous wreck. You'd think my news would be about a dog cancer. Yes, I got boob cancer. It's the stupidest thing I ever heard. This cancer's for the birds. It's worse than a big fat turd. I got boob cancer. One last thing I don't want to fail to mention. I've always loved being the center of attention. So feel free to talk about me and send good stuff my way, like thoughts or prayers or choo-choo or whatever you may be. Sing it with me. I got boob cancer. Yes, I got boob cancer. You'd think it'd want a bigger home with more room for it to roam. Listen, I'm basically working with a studio apartment here, and I would assume the cancer would prefer a 4-bedroom with a pool. Thank you, I'll be here all week. Oh, I've got boob cancer. Big finish. Isn't that the most adorable boob cancer song you ever heard?
That was amazeballs.